Happy New Year, folks.
Happy New Year.
I wasn't sure if we were going to see Tinon showing up here today, especially after yesterday. Feel like a lot of people at Docker are probably a little exhausted after dealing with a bunch of fighting fires.
Yeah, 3 very public overlapping incidents. That was a rough day for a lot of folks over here.
Oh, is that why the BuildX image wasn't pulling?
Yep.
Yeah,
Cool. I figured it must have been something like that, but I mean, not cool, but somebody was complaining about it on our side.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
good to know that it wasn't your server.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a cool that I now have an answer for that thing that was bugging me yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah, I get it.
Give folks a few more minutes. I think all of the things that can be reviewed, Tinon has already reviewed, so one less thing for you to worry about today. We just need to find someone else from the image spec that wants to jump in there and look over them all. I guess I should check in and make sure nobody here is dealing with LA fires or anything like that going on.
No, I'm Denver. We actually have the opposite right now. We have like probably 6 to 8 inches right now, just today alone. And we got hit.
Just today?
Yeah, we got hit like
Oh.
4 or 5 on Tuesday too. So
Yeah, I'm right in the mid-Atlantic stretch of the wave, and so we had maybe 6 to 10 that came through on, what was that, last week?
yeah,
A few days ago.
yeah.
Gave me some time to shovel out.
Yeah, I'm gonna let it go right now. It's set to go all day today, so we'll see what's the final accumulation.
I'm slightly happy that it got just warm enough that the top layer all got a little bit wet and then froze back to a solid everything. So the only reason I'm thankful for that is that it means that all this wind that we're having doesn't mean that we have these massive snow drifts blowing all over the place.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, oddly today is actually it is very windy, so it's coming through a few inches, accumulate, and all of a sudden a big gust just pushes everything over. And yeah,
You go out there, you shovel for like an hour, and then all of a
that's why
sudden
I'm
you
like,
look
I'm
behind you
not.
and it's all
Yeah,
blown over.
no, exactly. I'm not gonna let that go.
Like, where'd I shovel? It's all back.
Exactly. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Not getting much snow in Vegas right now.
It's colder than it should be, but it's not snowy, so I'll take it.
Yeah.
While we're waiting, just having fun. My time at AWS, and I was gonna see Phil was on today just because he and I got to connect at the past reInvent in December, but we were out there with an internal conference that we had, and if you remember, this was probably 2018, 2019, and the whole city got shut down because we hit like 2 or 3 inches of snow, and it just totally was making a muck of everything. And so some of us had to get back to. I was a Seattle base at that time. We had to get back. We rentals were going like crazy. We drove all the way, made it, but we drove all the way back route to LAX just in time to catch a flight and go. It was nuts. I think it was 2019. It was like January, February 2019. It was crazy.
Yeah, Phil usually joins maybe once every other month, every
I know
month here and
he's
there.
like me with a. That's where I was like, maybe our stars will align when we got to connect to try to do it here.
I think he has probably a conflicting meeting. So it's only when the other meetings get canceled he manages to
Same
show up
here.
for us.
I know.
Story of all our lives.
I know.
All right.
We called that Snowmageddon. It was super fun. I actually went to the hospital for that, or not because of that, but during that snowstorm
Yeah.
for gallbladder stuff. But
Are you saying the one for Vegas in like the February 2019?
oh no, I thought you were in Seattle. No, that
Oh
happened in
yeah. No,
Seattle.
no.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
had that. So I was just gonna say. I said no. It's funny that you said that because yeah, I was living in Seattle that time too. Then we got hit. So I lived in Bellevue, but I worked downtown Seattle, Alexandria Building, 9th and Stewart. And no, we did. Yeah, I remember Snow Apocalypse, Snowmageddon, and we were up in Lakemont in Bellevue, and so we got pounded with 36 inches of snow. SeaTac obviously only got 9 or whatever it was, but yeah, no, I remember that quite well. It was a nightmare everywhere. Cars were sliding everywhere, and yeah, that totally shut the town down.
All right. This might not be in all of us here today. I could tell a whole bunch of snow stories. We can go in that direction if you guys want to. But I think other than review items, and Sajay, if you want to have us talk about any of those, feel free. We can take time and go through any of those items, discuss them. But otherwise, we just have 2 items on the agenda today, so shouldn't be too big of a meeting. One of them was somebody asking for an artwork annotation. So let me see if I can find this link here and then drop this in the chat. They're asking for the annotation. I just wanted to bring it up here and make sure I wasn't off base. I think Tianan was also in this discussion over there, and so looks like we're in somewhat the same place on this. But the request from the user was saying, hey, can we have like a org.opencontainers.image.artwork or something like that that has a URL that would pull up and show the project logo or a fave icon or something like that, and then registries could use that to show things off and whatnot. Sounds interesting. I push back just saying let's get some projects to implement this first, and then OCI can standardize it. And Tianan had the very good point that, hey, when you start putting things where people click on it, it automatically triggers them to go hit a URL. That has data leakage issues that some companies might be concerned with, where suddenly you can find out all the images that somebody in a big company are using because they hit your registry and leak out that, hey, this company is running all these. So thought I would throw it up here for the rest of the group to kind of look over a little bit and see if you had thoughts. But potentially one way would be throwing some kind of artifact in the same repo and then having the pointer to the artifact instead of a pointer to an external URL. Or
Yeah, the clicky thingy came up in one of the security reviews internally as well, where if we had like a generic URL to pull down an icon or something from another place, it's yeah, that can be problematic, is what we know. So Tianan's concern, I think, is 100% valid. We already kind of got pulled into a discussion like that. So, but I think having them to be able to host something from an annotation standpoint seems reasonable. But but I don't think we should. I don't know. I don't know. I shouldn't say I don't think we should. I think we need to think a little bit more before we post a bunch of icons or anything in some place where people can get this.
yeah, there are a few different implementations and there's challenges with all of them that I can think of off the top of my head. Like if we put a full annotation in there that was the full icon encoded base 64 or something like that, that's going to bloat the manifest. If we use refers, that means that every image you push has to have a refer to it. And so that means the same artifact is getting uploaded with a whole bunch of manifests that all just have the different subject in there. So I'm also along the lines of, would it make sense just to have a, like some kind of loose relationship in there of saying, hey, if you're in this repo, this artifact, and just have a pointer to the artifact is my artwork, and just have some annotation just has a pointer over to it. And I don't know if that would be a pointer to a tag or a pointer to a digest or what, but that's imperfect too, because then it wouldn't necessarily be copied. I guess you just fall back to the default of, hey, they said they had an artwork, but it's not there, so we just pretend they didn't.
Yeah, but the whole point of media type is that we can discover this without having. I think the dynamic content versus the static content is the question here, right? Like you have a media type that defines it. Why do you need, like, it's not like we embed the link of the RFC of the protocol. We just have the RFC number there, um, or we just have a status code. And what I'm trying to say is, okay, maybe I need to read a little bit on the issue, and I'll keep quiet for now.
Yeah, this is going to be an artwork for a given image manifest. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they want to do it for the whole repo or maybe a whole organization, but I think we're at that level of per image manifest, you'd have to have something in there. And so, yeah, you're going to put an index entry in there. There's another idea. I knew you were trolling me, Tian. I knew it. So yeah, lots of different options in there. And if it was a media type, it would be a media type to refer. And my only concern there is that you'd have to have a refer per image. They could all have the same underlying artifact itself that is pointing to, the layer blob itself, but just the refer itself is going to be another manifest push for every one of those.
I mean, we could spend time discussing this, but I want to probably share something that we did internally as well. This came up as a requirement because we had a set of teams publishing stuff, and they had logos and readmes and whatnot, and we didn't want to invent yet another API on top of that. So the so-called display metadata was somehow we just gave a internal schema for them to publish it as an OCI artifact, and we take that and cross-publish it with some content. And we said, hey, this tag or this location is kind of where. So it's all very internal, but just convention-based, where people could just publish it and clients could discover it as needed. And that way, it's something like repository metadata that sits on the top, or image metadata, depending on some convention. But yeah, it's almost like an index in some way.
What's the process for discovering it? If I'm in a repository and I want to find that metadata, what was the process to discover it?
Well, it was just a tag convention at this point, and a repo convention. So, for example, if it was a side repo, because in some cases we didn't want to pollute the actual tag listing of that specific repository, or we didn't want to control that. So in that case, it was a repository convention saying that, hey, for this repository, you have a dash web asset or something like that that can be. But the point is, the client needs to render it, right? In most cases, registries don't honor CORS, so there needs to be another client or something that's able to go and surface this up.
Yes, that means there's also, in addition to the other options we already discussed, we could also do a registry extension of some kind and just have a endpoint or whatever that people could query and say, has this metadata been pushed for this repository? And it would just return back. And so you're not necessarily polluting the tag listing, and you'd have like a push and a pull to that same API.
Yeah, Toddy from my team was spending a lot of time trying to figure out if we can get a browsable experience for the registry, because there was asks for a bunch of customers who wanted to, hey, I mean, it's great that I can host a registry, but I need something that I can see and let others kind of like read more content. And I don't want to invent yet another way to uh, host more content, expose another endpoint, and manage and all that. So the idea of extensions did come up where I think I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Zot does something like this, right? Like, yeah, a browsable UI on top.
And so does Docker.
Yes, yes, and yeah, and that's why we don't.
I'm
It's
just
hard to
saying.
standardize this, right? Yeah,
I'm,
no.
I'm just saying. Yeah, we have repo APIs that would definitely help a ton. Maybe we need a spec for that.
Anybody has the energy?
It's not that bad, but the problem is agreeing on what a namespace is. If you can agree
Yeah,
on
right.
what namespace is, or some collection of, then you have a chance at an API. But otherwise, the namespace is too tied right now, and at least into the Docker API. I haven't looked at the other ones.
I kind of want to pull some of the things that we would want to put in here, all this metadata, into the tag listing itself, so that registries can enhance the tag listing and say, not only are there all these tags in there, here's the star count, here is some graphics someone's uploaded, here's some other README file that they put over there. Maybe not the full file, but a pointer to it.
But when you talk about a registry API and then you talk about tag, I think you mean in what scope?
Well, the tag listing is always scoped to that repository.
Well, it's actually scope. Yeah. Which is a namespace. We just haven't defined, we haven't gone into that level of detail.
I didn't want to use that word because I knew you were trying to make me use that word. It's like, I'm going to weasel around this.
I remember this discussion about 5 years ago. I'm just saying, namespace is where we hit the wall, right? And then authentication was the next thing. We knew it was going to be a main problem for that level of the API, right?
I've been fighting authentication this past week. A couple different ones showed up. One person had a registry server that if you pass multiple scopes to it, the authentication token would only take the first scope that you gave it. It would only give you the token for that one. And the other person had a authentication server that when you request the token, if you ask for the offline token, the refresh token, I'm guessing, I'm not there to physically see it, but I'm guessing it was giving back the refresh token instead of the login token itself, where it's supposed to give you both. It's supposed to give you a separate refresh token and the actual login token. And so it was breaking the login token. And so all the authentication from that was breaking. So I've had a fun week debugging all things, and it would be nice to get like an actual conformance from OCI that says your authentication is valid or not. But that requires us to actually standardize it. TBD.
Okay. So I see the benefit that you're promoting for the meta to come from an existing API, just by extending it. I'm just saying it feels to me like you're short, right? What you really need to do is agree on authentication and the names for a particular namespace first. And then within that namespace, who are the users, please? Right?
I keep seeing stuff and I'm like, this would be kind of fun to throw into a tag listing V2. I keep throwing more stuff into that bucket and it's going to get overloaded and nobody's going to like it when we're all done with it.
I can tell you when I'm looking at the Docker API, a lot of the metadata, right? It's not just for that repo. It's the admin owner, which is a different login. It's a different type of user, something that we don't, consider because we don't have, you get my trip, maybe.
Yeah. Token level tag listing.
Yeah.
I'm sure registry operators are
Only filled in if you're the admin on certain, yeah, that kind of, it would be an interesting, I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I wouldn't mind working on this too. That's cool.
Well, there is the working group on auth if you want to work on auth.
Can we move the schedule off Signode?
The schedule is we haven't met for months and months and months. So if somebody wants to meet and they have a specific time they want to meet at and work on it, throw it out there and we'll put together an ad hoc meeting and chew on it. I think right now over on auth, we kind of had an idea of here are a bunch of the problems we want to solve. And we're just waiting on someone to say, here's a potential solution and like actually put together the spec and proposal of what it would look like.
Okay. We agreed on some tag like that. Just reading the chat.
Me too. When you throw the underscore in front of a tag name, that gets interesting.
Yeah, the
But I get
problem
it.
was how do you not show the tag in the listing, right? Otherwise, this pollutes the tag also. It's not pullable, it's an image and things like that.
That's something I would love to see from registry operators is filtering out tag listings for the common listing to start with. And then users could dig into it and say, no, 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 I want to see all tags, or no, no, I want to see all tags and all digest.
Yeah, I think there are implementations that remove tags from the listing API. Basically, it's an attribute on top of the tag that you can set, but it's not. There's no. I mean, unfortunately, on the OCI side, we don't have a spec, right? Like it says whether this is included in the enumeration or not. As long as the object exists, we enumerate it. So, but it gets into a very hairy section. Do you want to do more?
For me, I wasn't so much limiting the tag listing API, but I want to have the websites. Everybody's got their little web front end. I want a click box on top. The thing I really want to filter out is all my signatures.
Yeah, it would really be good if we can think of an extension implementation rather than shoving everything into the annotations. But that's what people have, right? So they tend to, we tend to pivot a lot on that. So
yeah. I mean, a bunch of us have open source registry APIs through all the OCI API. You want the website. You want the UI.
yes.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying. There's underneath. There's two APIs for Docker registry. One is for the images. And the other is for the website, which is really a registry API. Repo for the repos. Yeah. What is a repo? What is the namespace? Who owns it? Who are the users? Who are the members? All that stuff, right? In the Docker registry website. I've been hoping that someday that gets published as well. TNN. But
How about you start holding your breath? I'll let you know.
There you go. I got a copy of it somewhere.
When your face turns darker blue, we can probably talk.
See? Yeah, there you go. All right.
Mike would make a very good Papa Smurf.
I resemble that remark. Docker blue.
All righty.
I don't think I just turned red.
I'm going to put the next one here from the agenda. Got one coming up here that it's been sitting in our backlog for a long while. And it's been sitting there with people saying, hey, we want this max chunk size hint. And the reason I pulled it back up here to talk about again today was that all of us on the OCI side are saying, yeah, I don't know if this is really going to fix anything. Do we have any implementations doing it? You know, we're kind of the trailing spec and whatnot. And then all the implementations these people are now going to ask when they're querying the different implementers of the registries and Docker clients and other kinds of tools that would be doing these things that would need to limit their chunk size. They're all saying, yeah, we're going to wait until OCI does something. So we've got trailing implementations waiting on a trailing spec. It's the, as someone would say, it's the Canadian standoff where everybody is like being too nice. No, you first. No, you first. No, you first. So figured I would bring this one up. I know everybody wants to see Mike did the Papa Smurf impression. I threw everybody off track with that one.
I
figured
don't. I don't remember. My kids are grown up now. My grandkids haven't done the Smurf thing yet. So
I wonder how much that still holds up today. It was, I feel like it was on the end of the cycle when I was watching as a little kid.
yeah.
But anyway, for trailing specs, do we have thoughts on, hey, do we want to try to do this max size of a blob chunk? And if so, do we want to try to get some implementations out there that would try this out and implement it and make sure that it looks good and everybody is happy with it? Just looking for how we move forward on some of these things, because if everybody's waiting on somebody else to move first, it's never going to get, nobody's going to move at all. And it could also be that we might want to standardize something that we have in a conformance test, but we don't have in the spec, which is the streaming blob pull or push, where you say, I'm going to do a post, get your URL, and start your patch request, but as one big patch request. You don't put any sizes, you don't put any offsets in there. You just send the data until you run out of data to send. And then you send the finish. That's what Docker does, I believe, today. I don't know if Containerd does. I haven't looked at their code in a long while. I think most other implementations that have all the data that they aren't building on the fly, they do the two-part upload. They do the post and then the full put and send all the data and the digest all at once. You know, Joy, everybody's quiet on mine. Let's let you jump in here.
My update is that I have no
Yeah.
updates. The trademark board kicked off a email vote to approve the budget. Missing, I think actually just one vote from a member to finish ratification of that budget. And then after that, we can talk more about the plans for the container days. But that's it. And then a couple more days and hopefully they'll have the schedule out for KubeCon and maybe talk about stuff we can do around the April KubeCon event. So that's it. That's all I got.
Cool.
Right, nothing
Do
more
they need
exciting,
stuff?
but Happy New Year, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Happy New Year, definitely. Do they need stuff from us on the container plumbing days? Like, are they?
Not at this moment in time. That is not,
Okay.
we've got mini moons at this point, but we'll get this budget locked down and then we'll move to sort of operationalizing what we need for contain plum days.
Contain plum day. We're going to get some like
Trying to
grocery aisle
shorten that.
fruits.
I'm just trying to like shorten it, maybe drop some vowels and, you know.
I'm now thinking of the plumber Smurf. I'm sure there was one.
Papa Plumber Smurf. What we need.
Good way to get everybody off track.
All right.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the container plumbing days of just what the format is and what is needed to go in there. Because I imagine if they're going to make it, depending on the format they do, they might have a CFP for that, and then what kind of content they want to try to get there. And being over in the EU, I don't know what audience they're going to get to show up for that. They might get a
Right.
lot. They might not get many at all. I don't know.
There's a lot of activity in Amsterdam for LF projects this year. I'm aware of like 3 different events at least that are being hosted. So my assumption is that will be very helpful for everybody in terms of just because it's marketing that geography, but hopefully that will also help us reach folks who are local for the CFP. But we'll take that next step when once we get kind of budget officially approved, and then the TOB and HAWK were part of the CFP review process last year. So getting those folks kind of, at least via email, talking about any changes to the CFP itself. There's other topics, if there's specific people we want to reach out to, that kind of stuff, starting to think
Does remind me we need to go through all the TOB election finalization, because you got the results of it, but we need to go through and update the TOB repo and a couple other pointers like that. So there's some things to be done there.
right. Which those terms end the 31st, if I recall correctly. You
Thought it
guys?
was sometime in January.
Jan 31 is what I am remembering, which could be incorrect.
January 29th.
29th.
29th. You can type faster
So-
than I can. I just got the page up. So, yeah.
So yeah.
I knew it was coming up sometime during this month, so we need to make sure when that hits that we go through, update the page, do all that good stuff.
Yeah, we can. I can do a PR to add.
Yeah. Pretty low overhead. We try to be simple.
I'm a
All right.
simple gal. All right.
We're a simple group. I'm just appreciative that you're having the same difficult time getting votes for the budget that we do, trying to get any spec or anything else going on in this repo. Like,
Yeah,
nobody
I
wants
feel a
to
little
vote.
bad. It's because you ask for a vote around the holidays. That's one of like, the busiest times for people. But pinging right after the holidays got 2 immediate responses because people were like, oh yeah,
Got to get it back up to
You're
the
right.
top of the mailing list.
you're right, exactly, bumping the thread. Okay.
All right.
Well, thanks all. We'll see
Thanks,
you
Troy.
next week. Bye.
All right. Cheers. So, okay, Mike, you pinged Darren on this one. Or sorry, Derek.
Yeah.
What else do we?
He's done a separate new implementation of the of the tools for doing the links. So I wanted to make sure that had Derek in on this one.
Mhm.
He's the expert.
Yeah.
I could
Part of
chat.
what I'm looking at is if this happens, this doesn't help any existing users. Because any existing user is going to have an old client that's going to see this new header. They're going to ignore it. They're going to still send all the bytes over the network.
Right.
So I do want to be sure that if this happens and the registry is talking to an old client through whatever they're talking, if they've got some kind of proxy in front of it that's choking and falling over with this.
Yeah, I understood the pattern. Yeah, I don't disagree. Yeah, we should take advantage of that, the new information.
The new information is good, but
You don't
old
want to
clients-
fail after sending 20 gigabytes.
You
and
don't
find
want
out
to fail after that.
was the limit. That was the limit. Yeah.
You don't want to fail after that, but you also want to make sure that you don't start breaking all of the old clients because they don't cap their layers at 100 megs each.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't want to make any no breaking changes. Yeah.
And that's the thing that I worry about is that you could say, look, we want to make a max chunk length of 100 megs, and then everybody's got an image that has more than 100 megabytes for one of their layers.
Right.
Cannot push that registry unless they upgrade their client.
I could have sworn we had a config for this, but I did. Let's ask Derek.
So my big concern is that we don't break old clients.
Right.
And so this would be some kind of progressive thing where, yeah, the registry doesn't want you to push over this size, but it's not a breaking limit. It's just a preferred limit of some kind. And I don't know if that's possible on the server side for the people that are having this problem. I get the feeling from the people that are having this problem, they really want this to stop.
If it's a failure, we need to provide a host config, right? And I believe we have the spot to do that. And I think I saw, but that's a vague memory. let's let.
You might have a config. You're talking containerd, right?
Yeah.
So you might have a config in containerd, and that's going to apply if somebody upgrades Docker to that new version and then upgrades and uses that config setting in there. Doesn't help anybody that's using an old version of Docker or an old version of Podman or whatever else they got out there.
Local version and everything like that's why I'm saying host. Because that would allow for one for local and one for remote, original Dockers.
But older versions of all the software are still not going to, people are not going to upgrade to the new things right away. So
so if we've got a fix that needs to be put in, we need to push it back to 1.6 and 1.7. Yeah.
They still won't upgrade. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
people want old stuff all the time.
They will when there's a CVE usually.
People are still out there with Docker 1.13.
The cloud providers will. They'll upgrade when they have to, the cloud providers. And that covers most people.
Tianon's over there crying because he's probably looking at the Docker Hub statistics of people pulling with Docker 1.13 still. It's people just don't upgrade, and sometimes people have workflows they can't upgrade. I've got somebody right now saying I need you to tell me how to push images with the Docker media types because my registry doesn't accept OCI media types. And I'm scratching my head going, what registry are you running and how many years old is this thing?
Right.
Probably more like a decade old at this point.
So. I don't remember any serious severity one, kind of issues being opened up on this topic in a long time. So we must have good defaults for being able to run already.
Well, the impression I get is people are just going to push a really large layer to the registry, and there are people doing all the LLMs and whatnot, so they got the 1 gig layers. We already had those with Microsoft images in the past where you had the 1 gig layers. And I think what's happening is, oh boy, Tianon's pointing stuff over things.
OCI schema 1.
Yeah. Right. People are complaining that
Is that a fork? Is that an update fork? Cough.
People are complaining that we got rid of that. They're like, why did you drop support for this? I was using it. And I'm like, how old is your image? You're pulling with this.
Look, Tianon has some scripts. Run those scripts, problem solved.
But that's not, that's OCI. It's not Docker schema 1. That's OCI schema.
Read the repository, Mike.
Okay, I'm clicking.
Is this a conversion tool?
Yes.
Nice.
And it requires absolutely no runtime support.
Nice.
It currently uses Crane to download things, but it doesn't have to. Like the spot where it pulls things with Crane, you can see is very easy to change to pull with something else.
I get that nudge, nudge.
Should make it use that curl thing that you made for Moby.
I mean, I would, but auth is annoying. Basically, the auth round trip is stupid, and I think that it shouldn't exist. We should get rid of auth and private images, and just everything should be public and accessible, and curl should just be able to download the thing.
I love when people ask me how to build with Go code using a private Git repo, and I'm like, just make it public. Problem solved. Open source all your software.
Where's the conversion? I'm looking.
I feel like I need to make an image mod
Okay.
of something like this. It does the same idea.
So you literally just did all the conversion stuff by hand. Okay. Cool.
It's painful.
All my tools keep dropping the conversion code, so I wrote it myself so that I don't have to worry about tools dropping the conversion code.
Cool. Yeah, I was wondering if you use Scopio, but yeah, that's cool. Okay.
I feel like Sajay's here, so you need to say ORAS and Reg client too, and that way we cover all the bases there.
That's Bash and JQ.
Starring
That's Bash
repo
and
now.
JQ.
You can't beat
Starring
that.
repo now. You now have 3 stars on your repo, Tina. No forks. Oh man, I have to fix that.
No reason to fork it. It's perfect.
Okay. Well enough said. Thanks, Tina.
Someone's definitely going to need that. All right, I feel like for the content length one, Mike, you were saying you were wondering why this wasn't blowing up all over the place. I feel like the reason it's not blowing up all over the place is that the gateways and the proxies and whatnot out there and the registry servers themselves go through all the hoops to avoid limiting things because they break when people are pushing large layers today. And so they fix it by changing their proxy to allow this stuff to go through rather than trying to fix it by putting an extra header in there that would do it on the other direction. My concern is if they fixed it by putting the extra header in there, they're not going to fix it for all the old clients. They're going to just intentionally break all the old clients and say, upgrade your client. We don't care about you anymore.
At which point, we'll probably get a person asking for a config. That's why I said Derek, because he would have seen this already many times. And yeah.
But you can't add a config to a new release to fix old clients.
Well,
The old client's already
I'm
there.
not sure if that, I mean, this config has been there since
Okay.
1.6. So
if the code is already in the stuff they're running today, then yeah. But what
Then
I'm
yeah.
saying is if you're adding a new feature to the software, they've got to upgrade their software at some point to
right.
get that.
And all I'm saying, I'd have to manually test all these variants and review the code, or we can just ping Derek. Let's get him to, yeah. He's going to remember this, I believe. I know I talked to him about it one time.
This one's been bounced around for over a year, and we pushed the reverse, the min chunk size hint through really quickly because hardly anybody was using chunked uploads, and we were breaking conformance for some people. And so he said, yeah, we can add that. Nobody really cares too much about how small it is.
Right. Did Derek review that one?
Probably.
Probably, yeah.
Maybe. Not
that
sure.
might be why I'm remembering the chunked upload. Yeah. Because, yeah.
See if I can find the min length in there, and because there was definitely discussion around that. Not sure. I'm pretty sure it was linked in that discussion somewhere. Yeah, here we go. The min length header. 391 was the other PR that we reviewed. And you and Josh were on that one. So Derek didn't say anything, but I'm guessing if you saw something, you probably told Derek, hey, support this.
Yep.
But again, the min length on a chunked upload was it didn't feel like that was as big of a deal to me because we had so few people doing chunked uploads at all that we were just clarifying a little bit. But given that everybody does something that's not a chunked upload today, putting this limit on there to try to fix people who are pushing too many bytes at once, I worry that we're not going to fix people that have this issue. All right, that's all I got. Sajay, we had all those review items in there. Oh, I see you reviewing stuff. Awesome. Clear out. Any discussions over there you wanted to have on some of those?
Oh no. Oh no. Okay, I just had an echo come back, but I just found a to-do for supporting chunked upload. I just found a to-do. Doesn't look like it's in
Yeah.
there. Yeah, we'll let Derek talk about it.
To support chunked upload, you're saying?
Yeah, a to-do not implemented for supporting chunked upload.
So how do you do uploads by default today? Do you do the streaming upload or do you do the post input and no patch?
I'm gonna have to find the location for that.
Okay.
Not my code.
All right. The echo is coming from Sajay, so I'm going to say, Sajay, if you wanted to jump in and say some stuff, go ahead.
Wait, I thought I was muted.
You are now, or you were a minute ago, but you are now, or you were a minute ago, but
Sorry.
It's okay. It's a little weird to hear yourself talking seconds later. Funny.
I wasn't sure if he came off mute earlier because he had something he wanted to say.
You must be running on a Microsoft Surface, not a Mac.
To make it worse, it's actually a remote machine with audio.
All right, so I see a bunch of these things ready to merge here, so I'm going through getting those merged up. Appreciate all those reviews here, Sajay. Yeah, it's like a 2-second delay. It's kind of 2 or 3 second delay, which feels a little bad for Zoom. All right, last call for any other topics. Otherwise, I'll give you all back a couple minutes here today. Guess the only other one that I didn't see a review on, did you comment on it? 1225 there, Sajay, be the only other one. That would be this one. Awesome. Well, with that, everybody that's not near LA, which I think is everybody here, be appreciative. Everybody that's got to dig out from the snow, good luck. And otherwise, have a good rest of your week. Get some time back here.
Take care all.
Cheers.